Yeah, so just to have a quick recap on a couple of sessions we had. We initially started with the Azure subscription introduction. Then we started learning how to assign the permissions to the users using the role-based access control. And we discussed about the default roles, customer back service specific roles, and how the users are getting provisioned in the Azure AD, and how Microsoft guest accounts get invitations to access the Azure resources. Then we are speaking about users who are created in on-premises Active Directory and how they synchronize to Azure AD. And once it's synchronized, how they can access the Azure subscription, right? That is what we have been discussing so far, but we did uh, go a little deeper into each component. Today, what we are going to do is we are going to utilize the on-premises users who are synchronized using Azure AD Connect and how they get access to cloud services. One of them, as you know, Azure subscription. We will also talk about Windows virtual desktops, how we create a Windows virtual desktop, and how we give access to users on Office 365, like users get access to Outlook and Teams, so that user don't need to install anything in his laptop. So he just need to log into the Windows virtual desktop. Once he logged in, he will be able to see, he or she will be able to see the Outlook and Teams from the Windows virtual desktop itself. So for that, what I have is I will just explain the workflow here so that you remember what we are talking. You will have some idea. Okay. So we have on-premises setup. This is our on-premises setup where we have a domain controller configured and couple of servers as well. So we have few user who logged into our corporate network every day, right? Using their devices, right? So they log into the corporate network, and we have our domain controller. This is DC, and we have another server, which is a AAD Connect server where we install the AAD Connect. Okay, this is our AAD Connect server, and we brought a Azure subscription here. Okay, we brought Azure subscription, and we have Azure AD as well. This is our Azure AD. Okay, so in simple, if I wanted to say this is the cloud platform. Okay, this is your on-premises environment. Okay, this is our AAD, Azure Active Directory, and this is our subscription. Okay, within the subscription, we have resource groups and we have resources as well, which are provisioned. So what we have done is we have enabled the connection from on-premises AD to Azure AD, right? We have enabled the connection from on-premises AD to Azure AD using the Azure AD Connect, and the user accounts are synchronized through password hash method. Password hash. This was a password hash synchronization. All right. So once synchronization is completed, I have the users. I'll give a couple of usernames. I think Josna, and we have Vishal, right? These are the few accounts I've synchronized to Azure AD. So these user accounts are exist in Azure AD. Later, I have given them access to Azure subscription. So these user accounts, are part of a group. Okay. What was the group name? The group was, I think, AD users, and there's one more group called Azure users. Okay, there were two groups we had. All right, so we added the users to this group. Later, we gave them access to these groups in a subscription level. So this is what we have done. So to go to the next level, what we wanted to do is to give you some more experience. We are going to set up the WVD solution. Okay, Windows Virtual Desktops. Okay, so that users can log into. Okay, users can log into the cloud URL. Okay, there will be one cloud URL. Okay, your users can log into the one of the cloud URL. I will give the URL later. So once they log into this URL, they will get the virtual desktops. They'll get the virtual desktops like this. Okay, they'll get the virtual desktops. Once they get the virtual desktop, they can log into the Office 365 email and the Microsoft Teams as they log into their corporate laptop. Once they log in, they can actually access the subscription and other resources. To provide this virtual desktop, we are going to implement the Windows Virtual Desktop service. And to provide the licenses, I mean to give them access to Microsoft Outlook and Teams, I'm going to buy the Office 365 licenses. Okay, I would say it's a Microsoft 365 now licenses. Okay, I buy this license and assign these licenses to the my on-premises synchronized users. This is the process, right? So in this case, okay, if I wanted to buy Office 365, I'm going to use the same tenant, which is the same Azure AD tenant, so that users who synchronize from on-prem AD can be reflected in Azure subscription, and they can also be reflected in Office Microsoft 365. So which means that all these user accounts and passwords are being managed by Azure AD, irrespective of any cloud service they are trying to log in, they will be authenticated using the Azure AD. All right, this is what we are going to do it. So, okay, for that, first let me do one more thing here. One more thing I wanted to explain for this lab. What I'm doing is, since I don't have the on-premises data center, I've created this domain controller in my Azure subscription itself, right? So last time what I've done is I've created one VM in Azure portal and I made this as a domain controller. Okay, so the WVD setup, which I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to do the same thing with same deployment in the same subscription in the same VNet, so that the domain controller can talk to these VMs and these VMs can talk to the domain controller. Okay, I'll just quickly explain you the WVD setup and the plan so that you will have some clarity. All right, so what I'm talking about is I have the setup like in Azure. Okay, this is my setup in Azure subscription. I have a VNet. Okay, this is my Azure VNet, and in this I have a subnet. Okay, in this subnet I have one domain controller and one standalone virtual machine, and these domain controller is synchronized to the our Azure AD tenant. Okay, so let me just put the values here. This is my subscription. This is my Azure subscription, and this is my VNet in Azure. And this is our default subnet that we created. And this is my domain controller. And this is my standalone VM. Okay. And this is the Azure AD. And in the domain controller, I installed AAD Connect. Okay. And I've synchronized these user accounts to Azure AD. Okay, this is the current setup. What I have is, since I don't have the on-premise environment, I am using this. So what I am doing is within the same subnet, I'm going to deploy the WVD machines, WVD virtual machines. Okay, so I'm going to deploy two WVD virtual machines, Windows Virtual Desktop VMs, which has the Windows 10 client, WVD. Okay, this is WVD VM2. All right, so this is the WVD VM2. Okay, so that these VMs, as soon as they built, they can be part of this domain, and the users who are part of this, they can easily authenticate by AD. Okay, so first let me go to Azure portal. This is the Azure portal. It's my account, and I'm going to the virtual machines tab, and this is the DC VM I'm talking, and this is the another standalone machine I'm talking about. So they both are in east-west location. So before I create any VM, I need to check the subscription quota limitations, because the target subscription, target location, which is the east-west location, should have enough cores if I want to deploy the WVD solution. So I'll go to the subscription, I'll go to the quota management here, subscription and quota, or usage plus quotas. And this is in the east-west location. I'm going to choose only east-west location. And in the providers, I'm going to choose only the compute. And you see here, 80% of the utilization is already completed. I need to increase this utilization so that I can create multiple machines. So DSV3 family and total VCPs, I'm going to increase it. So right now it is 20, I'm going to ask for the 40. So let's wait for a few more seconds. It might take a minute. So we just need to wait for some more time. All right, the quota request has been increased for the our total regional VCPs, but we need to have a DSV3 family CPUs as well. I'm going to increase them to 40 now. Let's wait for a few more seconds to complete this. The DSV3 family CPU is also increased to 40 now in the east-west location. It is green. We have 80% of the utilization is available here. Now we are good to implement the WVD solution. To implement the WVD solution, let's search for the virtual desktops. Okay, Azure virtual desktops. Click on create a host pool. Now you can choose the existing RG. I'm going to use the DevOps RG, and the host pool name I'm going to give as let's say WVD pool. Okay, Windows Virtual Desktop pool, and I'm going to choose East West as the location, and host pool type I'm going to choose as a personal. Sorry, I think it should be pooled. Okay, and maximum session count I'm going to take as a 5. 5 at a time, 5 users can connect. And in the virtual machines tab, I'm going to add the virtual machines. Here I'm going to provide the resource group name, and I need to provide the VM names as well. So I'm going to say WVD VM. So at the end, it will add 01, 02, 03 like that. It will add as a, suffix. And this is the virtual machine location. I don't want to keep any availability zones. And this image type is gallery, and you need to choose the images. These are the Windows 10 images, and you have Windows 2019 as well. I'm going to choose Windows 10 with the 2004 Microsoft apps. Okay, and you can see the size. What is the size you wanted to give? 2 virtual CPUs and 8 GB of memory. It is what it is saying. So we can take the maximum as well, because we have enough cores available and enough RAM also available. So I'm going to choose 4 virtual CPUs and 16 GB of RAM for now. And number of VMs I want to create is only 2. I don't want to create more. And OS disk type I'm going to choose as a standard SSD. Okay. And boot diagnostics, we can go with the custom, or we can go with the managed storage account. So VNet, I'm going to choose the same VNet, DevOps RG VNet. Let me just quickly validate the current VM's virtual network name. So to check that, I'll go to virtual machines and go to the DC VM. and it is under the DevOps RG VNet only. Okay, I'm going to choose that. This VNet has two subnets. One is the default subnet, the other one is the Azure Bastion subnet. I'm going with the default subnet, and I'm going to say none here because I have the energy in the subnet level. So the domain to join. So once the VMs are created, WVD client machines are created. So they need to part of a domain for the users to access. Since we are using the on-premises AD for user accounts, we are going to use Active Directory. Otherwise, you can also use Azure Active Directory Domain Services, which is the having a similar capabilities as Active Directory, but we have not tested that feature, and I'm going with the Active Directory as my domain. So AD domain join UPN. So what is the AD domain join UPN? So you need to provide your one of the user account details. So in this case, what I will do is I'll go to Azure AD. I'll take one of the synchronized user account who has more privileges. So I believe we shall have more privileges in the on-prem AD, and we will see what level of permissions he has it. It's nothing to do with the Azure permissions, but in on-premises, he should have the right privileges. So we can quickly check that. We can log into the machine and try to validate. So let me go to virtual machines, go to the DCVM. I don't need to always connect through MSTSC or remote desktop connection. I can use Bastion network. I did set up the Bastion network, and I think I have to assign this. Okay, what it says, creating subnet is done, create a bash, and okay, it should have the public IP. I'll go with this. Okay. For now, I can just log in. MSTSC. I think this is the same server. Okay. It's still being set up. Yeah, it's 57 is the domain controller server, right? DC server. So I'll go to dsa.msc to check who has domain admin privileges so that I can use that. So they are going to use this account. I mean, Wvd Setup is going to use this account to join the server to the domain automatically. Okay, here say Josna's account. Okay, she's not part of. I'll just use domain admin. And enterprise admin. Okay, and account is this. All right. Otherwise, I can use Vishal account because this account has to synchronize these properties, right? So I can use this account because I think this account has enough permissions. Yes. Okay, so what I will do is I'll copy this ID and I'll just update here. And the password for this account is 1simple8123. Okay, and you need to also provide the virtual machine administrator account. Here I'm going to use the our default credentials. Okay, so now this is all fine. I need to create a workspace. So I'm going to say WVD workspace and click advanced. If you wanted to enable diagnostic settings to any log analytics workspace, you can use it. But for now, I'm not going to use this option. Tags and review and create this WVD host pool. Yeah. So I'm going to create this. So this may take few more minutes. I will show you the licensing part in Azure AD and Office 365 while the WVD host pool setup is in progress. I'm going to Azure Active Directory and going to the licenses here and all products. So these are the two products I have, Enterprise Mobility plus Security UI. The Azure Active Directory is not having all the capabilities with the free tier. So whatever we had earlier is a free tier. And if you wanted to get some benefits like self-service password reset and other features, you need to go with the Azure AD Premium version 1 or Premium version 2 or Basic. All right. And if you wanted to get Office 365 email and Teams, then you need to have the Office 365 license. I brought these free trials and for E5 Enterprise Mobility plus Security E5, I have 250 licenses assigned to users, and Microsoft 365 Business Premium, I have 25 licenses assigned to users. So with the E5, you get features like um, Office 360, I mean Azure AD Premium 1 and Premium 2 and the EMS as well. So assign these to users. What I will do is I will assign to a couple of other users as well. Click on add users. I can directly assign to the group as well. That is another option I have. I can just select these groups, Azure users and cloud users, and select assignment options. In this, you can say Microsoft 365 Business Premium has these many features. Whichever is required, you can just add. If it is not, then you can just ignore them, right? If you don't want to assign the teams, you can just turn it off. If you want to assign, you can just turn it on. Like this, you have to assign the permissions or licenses to the users. So licensing is not assigned here because there could be some issue. Mostly the issue could be due to the users location, usage location is not being set. So if I go to Vishal's account, what is the usage location? Let me click on edit. Usage location has to be set. I'm going to say India and save this. Now if I go to the licenses assignment, if I select both of them, it should be accessible. Okay, save this. All right, so even if I go to the Jostna's account, I think I need to modify this. If it has not already been set up, it is already set up, India. Then if there are any other accounts, if I want to add, I can add it. So I think women account is also synchronized. So I can also add licenses. Before that, I need to change the usage location to India. All right, and save this. And licenses, assign the licenses to the user. Okay, so this is how we assign the licenses to the users. Okay, and I will also quickly log into the Office 365 subscription. I already logged in here. So this is the Office 365 admin console. Okay, I logged in with the Akhil's account, which is created in Azure AD. And these are the active users. Okay, these are the active users we have. There are few users which have licenses, few users which don't have the licenses. I can select all of these and manage the product licenses, assign more, select all of them, and start assigning. So the license will be assigned to the users wherever it is applicable. If there are any issues or errors, then you will be able to see them. Now everyone have the licenses. All the users in my organization have licenses assigned. They should be able to use the Teams and Outlook. Okay, so this is how you assign the licenses to the users. And if I wanted to check the purchased, if I wanted to purchase new services, I come here and I search for the new service and start purchasing it. If you wanted to look at the products that I purchased, these are the two products I purchased, and right now 15 assigned here. Out of 25, 10 are available for the Microsoft 365, and Enterprise Mobility Suite plus Security E5 is only 15 assigned. Okay, and billing and payment and payment method, these are the details. If I wanted to contact support, I can just raise a support ticket like this. Okay, and I do have other admin consoles or admin centers. If I click on it, I have Azure AD Admin Center and Azure ATP Compliance Endpoint Manager Exchange Admin Console. This is where you take care of your email related configurations. If you have a hybrid environment, if you are a Exchange administrator, you get to manage this here. Okay, and just to let you know, guys, this is just for your knowledge. You may not get an opportunity to work on everything, but you should be aware on how an organization is being set up, right? So that is why we are coming here and looking at all the options. All right. So now I will just try to log into one of the user who has been granted as a, you know, Office 365 license or a Microsoft 365 license. So this is the Akhil's account where Akhil has got Office 365 and is able to log into his Outlook.com. And there were few emails I sent. I sent an email to Josna's account saying this is test. All right. And this is the Josna's account, and I can update contact details and everything here. And Josna has replied as hello. Okay. Even if I go to the teams, I can see the teams available for this user. We can search for the user accounts in their organization. Let's say this is the ID I wanted to check. So Josna's ID is visible here. We can chat and talk to the team members. Okay, I can log into the Josna's account. I think this is Josna's account. I can communicate from here. Okay, I can reply to the emails. Hello team, this is just a test email, right? So we can start configuring meetings and schedule meetings and start working on it. I can see the Akhil have received an email. This is the email that we have received. So they talk to each other. All right. I mean, the team members can talk or communicate better here. Okay, I tried enabling the teams. Looks like due to some restrictions and some other issues, sometimes it's refreshing, it's failing. Yeah, so probably it may take some time or some other settings has to be modified. Okay, that way I can check it later. All right, so now you got some clarity on Office 365 part as well. Okay, you know what is Office 365 and Microsoft 365 and how to assign licenses, how users can log in. Okay, since WVD is being set up, let me just go back to this and check the status. WVD is still in progress, but let me check the status here. So what it has done is so far, it created a host pool, it created application groups, and it created some temp workspace. What is a linked template workspace, and it's creating the another resources. In this, what it has done is it has created a network interface card. It has created WVD VM1, VM0, and it's creating some extensions for WVD0, and it has successfully completed few extensions. And it's for WVD VM1, it is join.domain is in progress, which means that the VMs are getting created and they will be joined to the domain. If I go back to the virtual machines tab, you will see the VMs are created and they are up and running. If I click on WVD VM0, it is up and running. You can see the agent also is in ready status. If I go to the extensions, you can see the join.domain is extension successfully completed, which means that these machines might have been already joined to this domain. So let me go to this and go to the computers and refresh here. I can see WVDVM0, WVDVM1 are already joined to this domain. Okay, users in this directory in this IAD can join to the connect to this VMs which are joined to this domain. Okay, how do they get access? They get access through WVD process. We already gave them access to the, we already synchronized these users to the WV Azure AD. Only thing is that we just need to provide them access. In general, what we do is we provide RDP access to the servers if the servers are hosted in your on-premise environment. But since we are going to the cloud, so we are going to use the different approach to provide access to these users. So I think the setup, we need to just wait for the setup to be completed. Once it is completed, then we can go ahead and configure the permissions. The WVD setup is completed successfully now. What I will do is I'll go to the WVD setup, WVD service, Azure Virtual Desktops, and host pools. This is the host pool. And if I go here, you can see there are two virtual machines available. There is one application group available. I'm going to the virtual application groups. Click on the application group. Here you need to look at the assignments. In the assignment section, you can give access to the individual users, or you can give access to the group, Azure users. There's one group, and there's one more group called AD users. You can give them access directly. Okay, so there will be one default application, session desktop. Session desktop is nothing but your virtual desktops. Okay, these groups have been granted access, and if I go to those groups, let's say I'll open the AD users group first. In this group, who all are having access? Vishal and Viman is having access. And if I go to the Azure users, in this group, who all are having access? Josna, Murli, Viman, Vishal. So everybody have access. So I'll use Josna's account to log into the WVD solution. And how do I log in? I will show you. Okay. So what I need to do, I think I already opened Josna's ID here. So there is one URL we need to use. Let me just try to find that URL. One moment. Yes, this is the URL. I'm going to use it. Okay, I am logging into Josna's account. This is the Josna's account which I already logged in. So authentication is automatically taken care. Now you see session desktop is available. If I click on it, it will try to connect me to AD for authentication, domain controller for authentication. This is my on-prem AD user, and I'm going to use the same password here. I'm trying to connect to the WVD session. Now we are inside the machine. I can just maximize this, enter into the full screen. So with this, now you might have seen most of the organizations are giving this virtual desktop access because we are working remotely. In case if your actual system is not working, if it has any problems, so they mostly give you WVD access so that you can access the corporate data securely, because the communication that is happening to your virtual desktop is completely encrypted and it is secured. It's loading. Now you see Windows 10 is being given access. This is your laptop. I mean, this is how you see your laptop or corporate device, and you will have a similar operating system configured. All right, the same thing you can see here. You can open Outlook, and you can open Teams and start communicating to the team members and start working on it. You just need to configure it for the first time. It's loading. Continue as Josna. This is the password for the email. And you can see Akhil has sent a message, right? So we are going to chat here with the team members. All right, so this is how you connect. And if I go back to Outlook, all right, so if I go back to Akhil's account, Akhil might have received a chat here, response, right? So this is how you communicate. We can create a group chat. Who else we have? Vishal, whose account is synchronized already, right? Vishal and Viman. I think Viman account is not there. Okay, I think Murali account is there. Okay, the hello team. All right. So likewise, you can just start talking or discussing, continue as the team. All right, you can see just now I have received this. And if I go back to the email account, you can see the email communications are exist here. All right, this is how you talk or establish an organization. All right, so this is about the WVD setup and how users can actually access the data with the help of Azure AD Sync and Office Microsoft 365 licenses.